This is the first I'm hearing of it. No one's ever told me any of this but you. I'm not hearing any of this stuff.
I read every single comment. Every single comment. For those people watching these videos, I mean,
but is it... Are they real people in America? Not people that don't exist?
Joey Merlino. Any thoughts on him?
That guy's a boss. He wanted $10,000 to come on your show?
Yeah.
He's doing that bad? I don't know, Joe. When I was in the streets was when Joey was in the streets in Philly.
John Gotti Jr. He's been going out there. He's been talking. He's been on a podcast recently.
I ate dinner with lawyers back in those days. They all knew from the beginning that he was chased, he was shelved, and he was a civilian.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Millennials Choice Show. I'm your host, Matthew. I'm here with Marianne. What's up, Marianne?
Hey, how are you?
Long time. It's been a long time being in the studio with you.
It hasn't been that long.
Come on. A month or so?
Yeah, maybe. Okay, fine. Maybe about a month.
I miss being in the studio with you. Come on.
We had a great time.
Guys, for those of you who don't know, Marianne's Italian. She's got a background that we're trying to get her to talk about. So, you know, we wanted to involve her in these interviews with these former mob guys, mob associates. And today, we're back with one of my favorites. We've met him in person in NYC. And today he's joining us virtually. So welcome, Anthony Hootie Russo. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Appreciate it. It's fun to be back.
Yes.
Always enjoy talking with you.
Likewise. And guys, for those of you watching, if you like this video, like it, subscribe. If you don't like it, tell us why. We still need that hater energy so the video could go viral. So we don't mind the vibes either way, but make sure you let us know one way or the other. So Hootie, what's going on? President Trump is in office. How you living?
Yeah, I mean, I probably said it on, multiple times to you before. I was never into politics. Nobody that I was ever around was into politics. But Trump's a Queens kid like us, and he made it back into office. Matter of fact, me and him share the same birthday, born in the same borough, born in the same hospital on the same floor.
No way.
How crazy is that? Yeah, we're both born in Queens, Jamaica, Queens. Both born in Jamaica Hospital on June 14th and on the same floor. I had to go check the same floor to see if they still had the same wing. But yeah, we were. But I mean, what can you say? I knew of his generosity working with the unions and everything in Manhattan when I was working. And the New Yorkers that I know never had a bad word to say about him. So, matter of fact, no matter what race you were, everybody that I spoke to him, black, white, Italian, always had good things to say about him in New York. Maybe the liberals and the Democrats, which, again, I won't get into because I didn't study politics. I don't know politics. All I know is that he was loved by the people that I've ran across in New York. And he was a Queens kid, and he was always known to be tough. He kept, maybe he bought concrete from the mob. Maybe, who didn't? Back in those days, the Teamsters were mobbed up all over the country. It didn't make a difference where he did business. But nobody ever had their hands in his pocket. He was never around nobody. And, he became president the first time, and now he's president again. I mean, I think it's great because just to see a president act the way he acts, like a real tough guy, and he's not being tough, just tough with people in the country. He's being tough with world leaders that people are afraid of, people that, never spoke like this to. It's history. It's stuff that you're going to tell your grandchildren about. We never seen this before.
A lot of people were commenting on the recent interaction that Trump's been having with certain world leaders. Like, for example, Prime Minister Trudeau, he's not even talking to him. He's not even talking to the guy. And when it comes to like Zelensky, for example, he was just really aggressive, with him, according to a lot of people. And
was he aggressive or was J.D. Vance aggressive? Because it sounded like he just sat there and didn't say anything. I watched the interview. So I don't know. He didn't sound aggressive, but he did say is like, and which I couldn't understand why the soldiers in Ukraine would be upset. You got to make the deal because you don't have the cards. You lost 1.2 million people. He's lost 600,000. That's double. You're supposed to say you're right, even though they asked for peace and then they invaded. They didn't keep their word, Russia, and they invaded. I get all of that, but you're the underdog. So if they want peace again, you got to try it again. And that's what I seen. What everybody else sees is people that are loud and sticking up for their country, for some reason in this country, in America, they don't like, which I can't understand whatsoever. Why don't you want somebody that tough? You know what I mean? Plus, after all of that, you see him go to the UK. They give him 1.2 billion, right? Because now you got me watching politics. I'm watching every interview. But with all these ultimatums that you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, we're giving 300 million. You're giving 1.2 billion. I mean, 300 billion. You're giving 1.2 billion, and the UK has loaded up everything that they got to give back to them. It's just a loan. You can't have it. We got to get this back, that back. And the same thing with Canada. Oh, we stand with you. Same thing with France. We stand with you. But you're giving 1 billion, 1.2 billion. Nobody's giving 300 billion. The United States are. And you're saying you didn't get the first 300 billion. You only got 122 of it. So now we got to investigate that. And that's still 121 more billion than any other country's given you. You know what I mean? And now you got China backing Russia.
Yeah, that's not great.
So you gave China enough time, you gave Russia enough time to convince China to go in with them.
Yeah.
So, you're not holding any cards because you can't win listen to me, I think if Russia and China team up and all their other allies, the United States wouldn't even be able to help them. You know what I mean? In a full-blown war.
Yeah. So you know what my whole thing is that conversation happens behind closed doors every day. And just the way that it happens probably every day behind closed doors. And like a guy like you, for example, former mob associate, you're in the streets, you're dealing with people. You probably seen or witnessed or experienced guys that were in the power position talk to other guys like that. Like it happens every single day where there's a little bit of an aggressive conversation that needs to happen between two parties. So maybe that kind of...
No, listen, it's funny you say that because now being in the legitimate world and now I've been with people, we used to think guys that were worth 10, 20 million in the life were big money guys, big money. Now I'm around executives and famous people with big money, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? I mean, I've seen deals for 300 million, deals now for 200. So I sit in these and I see those guys talking like Trump, talking like JD, talking like guys from the life, but in the legitimate world, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, owners of companies, vice presidents, just going out and acting like... I've seen that behind closed doors. See, we're still on the same subject, but to jump back, now if they would have did that behind closed doors, all the fake news outlets could have spun that meeting any way they wanted.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now they're giving you... This is what... He's being so transparent with the world, not even just the country, Trump. How could you hate this man for doing that? He's showing you. This is what, I could have closed it and you wouldn't have seen anything. But now you get to choose. So at least half the world could say, this bum, who walks into the Oval Office without a tie, without a jacket? That's the Oval. Listen to me, it's the highest office in the free world is the Oval Office. That's it. The President of the United States, who every country tries to be like, wants to be a part of democracy. Even if you're in these communist countries, the people want to be in a democracy. It's the leaders that control the dictatorships. And he's showing you, my doors are open, bring the cameras into the Oval Office, and you walk in with a honeycomb thermal on. I don't care. He's at war. At war where? He's on Vogue. He's on CNN. He's on MSNBC. He's not at war. The soldiers are fighting. He's in every part of America, which you can't do in any other country. You can't go on a network and bash the country that's loaning you money. Bash the presidency, complaining you don't have enough money. Go to another country and do that. They'll lock you up.
Yeah.
This is the only country in the world that you could do that in. He's on every network. They allow him to just roam freely in America, talking shit about everybody. Yeah, listen, Putin's got concentration camps and he kills everybody. 100%. Who's saying anything about that? But they don't need the war. Nobody's siding with Putin. People are siding with peace. People are siding with let's people stop dying. And let's also find the money that's missing while we're at it, right? This is the first time we've got a government that wants to show us what's really going on behind closed doors, which I guess now we're seeing that Democrats has been using the White House and government for their own personal ATM machine. And this is coming from somebody who's not in politics. I'm not a liberal, Democrat, Republican, conservative, nothing. I never voted in my life. I never will. I came from the streets. Politics never mattered to us. People who are in office never mattered to us. We made money no matter what. But what's going on now, you get to see social media. There's a million network TV shows, and you have a president that's showing you. Come into the office and sit down. That's first of all, it's history. This is what we're going to tell, because no other president's ever going to do this again. We tell our grandchildren about this, and it's going to go down in, it's going to go down in the books.
So what's your whole take on that government investigation, DOGE? I know a lot of people are for it, but what's your whole take on that being led by Elon Musk, right? Somebody who his companies are data driven. He invests in those in those businesses to get people's data. He's going to see everything now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the type of guy you want to see your data, right? Because what did he do? When he went and bought Twitter, people like he runs a business that's unprofitable. First of all, Twitter was a failure. They didn't make any money for years before he bought it. They were in the red no matter what. So he goes in and buys it for all that money because he wants to make sure the narrative is telling the truth. He gets on the plane after he buys it. He tells people he wants all these servers in this one city cut off. I don't want people's data. I don't want their credit card information. I don't want anything. They had servers, warehouses full of servers collecting all of this, like what America's afraid that TikTok's doing. He made the jet turn around. He asked the guy he was with if he had a scissor. The guy gave him a pocket knife. And what these people told him would take years to disconnect. He went into these warehouses with a pocket knife and cut all the wires. He didn't want nobody's information. No, this is the guy that living in a $50,000 house with 12 kids.
Yeah, 14.
You know what I mean?
14
Doesn't own
actually,
a fancy car.
As of today, 14.
You know what I mean? You got Jeff Bezos, who had to relocate a bridge so his yacht could fit under it. You know what I mean? Listen to me. I love the two men, the way Jeff Bezos spends his money and the way Elon does it. But you want a guy like Elon. He don't want nobody's information. He don't want nothing from you. And then when people say he doesn't run a successful business, PayPal's number one right now. He was one of the original owners of PayPal. That's it. Bottom line. SpaceX, incredible. Tesla. This is a man that doesn't advertise. How could you sell a car without advertising? He doesn't pay advertisement. He doesn't do any because he doesn't care. If he's worth he doesn't know where 400 billion of his money is. He's the richest. He doesn't care. The guys are just a smart guy. And then you say, because you could tell, right? All the sharp talk guys in Hollywood, in the world, in Congress, they're all bullshit artists. They're all used car salesmen. Go back to everything they're doing. It's their agenda for after presidency, after office. That one politician from California, Nancy Pelosi, right? She makes $200,000 a year. How's she worth a couple $100 million? Showing you $30,000. Well, the poverty level in her fucking state goes through the roof. She's showing you $30,000 refrigerated in her house. This is a liberal Democrat. You know, this is disgusting what she does. Elon's that guy doesn't want your information. He doesn't collect data on anything he does for himself. He doesn't use it. He doesn't profit off of it. He doesn't resell it. None of that. This is the guy that you want in there. And now you elected Trump. He can send anybody he wants in there that's, of course, able to do the job to say, do me a favor. You're much smarter at this than the average person. You get the richest man in the world, one of the smartest men in the world at your disposal. Why not use him? That's a weapon. That's a tool. And then you find out all this money's missing. Why would you be mad if he just told you that over 10,000 people over the age of 100 are collecting Social Security that aren't even alive? Right there. The whole world, the whole country should just say, Democrats and Republicans together, please let that guy do whatever he wants. Find the money. We need it. What is wrong with people? I never understand. And they're like, oh, you don't understand. There's a devil behind it. He was the president for 4 years. The country's still here. Where's the devil? Like, everybody was so worried what was going to happen. What happened? You indicted the man for no reason. That's what happened. He's the devil. He's this. He's that. He's what? He's nothing. He's a human being. Yeah. So I think it's all bullshit. And I think the greatest thing in the world, I'd be worried for a guy like Jeff Bezos, if that's what you're worried about, data and information. You got to worry about a guy like Jeff Bezos who owns Amazon, who even though I don't think Jeff Bezos is that type of guy because he's already got that much money. But a guy like Elon Musk, he walked into Twitter and just got rid of all of that. He didn't want any of it. So I don't know. Switching
focus a little bit, Anthony. Last time when we were in New York and you came into the interview with Frankie Steele, you sat down.
I think I spoke to Frankie. Wow, it was a while ago. It was right after that.
Yeah, so shout out to Frankie Steele. But when you walked into the interview, I don't know if you remember, you said there was a warrant out for your arrest that day.
Yes. I'm still going to court for it, but the warrant got lifted. So I was able to, because I split my time between Maryland and New York. So I turned myself in, went through the motions, and the judge lifted the warrant and allowed me to, so it's still going. I thought it was going to be over by December, but the case is still going.
So
It's in Queens. It's a bunch of bullshit.
What are you
There's
dealing
people
with?
still
Why are you
trying to
getting in
keep you
trouble?
around and try to put you in jail. And that's why I haven't made content in over 2 years.
Wow. Yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah, it's been a while since my own content.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going on. I'm fighting that. That's, nonsense, bullshit. But it could put me in jail for a little while. So I got to stay on top of it. But yeah, that was crazy because I didn't know there was going to be a warrant sent out for me. They set a court date up. I was living in Hagerstown, Maryland, and they issued it. I couldn't get back in time. And then I set things up with a lawyer to turn myself in, and I did it right after that, maybe like a month after that.
Oh, wow.
By the time because you know how the system works, they just move slowly. And I set it up. I turned myself in, went in front of the judge, the marshal, the court officer, stuff like that. They took me in, and just nonsense. When that case is over, we could do another show about that. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I mean, you got yourself into some troubles. But after that interview, you get a lot of flack on YouTube. I'm not sure why, but people in our comments, a lot of people say good things, but then there's a lot of haters out there. We know that. But a lot of people,
I got a lot of haters.
But a lot of people will come at you and attack your resume in the mafia and your role in the streets as well, and how much of an associate you were and how much relationships you had and who knew you and how you got your nickname and all these things. You want to talk a little bit about that and go down that road?
I didn't see too much of that, but if they are, I don't know what they're crazy. I'm the only person that's probably on this that's been in the life as long as I have on the street. A lot of these guys that are doing content today were in the life for a little while, in and out of jail. I was on the streets and I was part of a crew. It was everybody in my crew was made but me. I mean, anybody that was on the streets knows this. You know what I mean? And I was in it was the biggest pinch in the history of the mafia. It was 7 crime families here, the 2011 pinch. And I think that's just haters because I was coming on here calling people out. You were a nobody. You were a jerk off. You were this, you were that. So I think people just come on here, especially MobTube. Not necessarily your lane, but like the whole MobTube that they're on every day. They're doing lives, begging for money. Go to my Patreon channel. I wouldn't do any of that. I don't sign up for that. Very rarely do I read the comments. How I get the comments is people will forward them to me, and I'll see them. I'm not on social media as much anymore, so I don't get them as much, but people will text them to me or whatever, and I'll see. Listen, the resume is there. You can Google it. You can go to the streets. I come from 101st Avenue in Ozone Park. I grew up in that life. Just look at my co-defendants. All you got to do is go online and read that. I kind of just think it's, people hating. And also, nobody has content. I don't understand how people still have content. To me, they're just making shit up. 90% of the stuff people say today, it's done. You don't have nothing left. You weren't on the street long enough. You didn't know enough people. You weren't around enough people to still have content. So I know a lot of their shit's made up, and I call them out on it. I don't come on and give all the content. So I think people get mad at that. So they try to bait me into saying, this is what I did. This is who I was with. This is who I was around. You go to my Vlad interview. It's still one of the most watched. And I don't get the clips and plays that Vlad gives all the other mob guys. And I still am the most watched on his channel.
Sounds like you're referring to somebody when you mention Patreon. Is there somebody that comes to mind?
No, I think anybody that has a Patreon channel in MobTube that isn't a professional, like Bill Kurtz, like these guys that went and read books and did their work. When you were a mob guy in the street and now you have a Patreon channel, I kind of, that's just like embarrassing, number one, because you're begging for money. Now, I know a lot of guys that cooperated and they need the money to have no other way. More power to you. I just don't understand how people are still, I think people pay for that. I don't have a Patreon account, so I don't know. just to go on and have people donate money, argue in the comments. I get the biggest thing with these channels are the comment section. People love that. The comments, the going back. And then now I think the way TikTok works, or one of them work where besides the views, the comments also make you money. Like whatever the interactions are in the comment section.
Yeah.
There's something crazy with that. I was just reading about that. But these Patreon channels, like, what are you paying for? Everything that these guys are telling you is on A&E, is in the archives. It's Jerry Capisi tells you before everybody. You know what I mean? It's like what you see on the internet today. TMZ reports something today, and then all these other podcasts will talk about it tomorrow. And it's like, why are people even giving? I wonder why people even give these gossip podcasts any play, because TMZ reported it the night before, and now they're just talking about it. I just think people like to interact with bullshit. And Patreon, to me, I just don't understand it, because these people, you go on there for what? For what stories are you going to hear? You've heard them all for free on YouTube, and then once YouTube stopped paying these guys, they all ran to Patreon because YouTube don't want to pay them anymore. What kind of street guys is that? You know what I mean? And they don't even tell you stories. Every story is back on them. And there's really nobody that's on YouTube that's had, besides a handful of people that I know personally, that had glorious lives in that life, that were tough guys, that were killers, that were earners. There's nobody that's making Patreon channels that are even close to that. You know what I mean? You got guys that haven't even been brought up on any of these channels or any of these talks. Like, you ever hear about John Gotti Sr., right? That's why you hear John Gotti Sr., Sammy the Bull, John Gotti Sr. had nothing but tough guys around him. Nobody ever does stories because they don't know. They'll tell you they know everything about these guys, but you'll never hear personal stories. There's probably 1,000 guys that going back in that life since the 90s that they could tell stories about that were tough guys if they knew them. So that's why I think it's all bullshit. I'm wondering why you don't hear this guy's name. You don't hear that guy's name. I don't like to bring it up because I still live, and when I come into New York, I have a place on Lower Manhattan on the Lower East Side. I still go to the same restaurants. I still go back to my old neighborhood for pizza. So there's a lot of people I still see. So there's reasons why I don't like talking about it. These guys are all hiding out in Florida and wherever else, where they're never going to see guys on the streets again. You know what I mean? So I just think it's all bullshit.
Right.
All this fake comments and who was this and who was that. Frankie Steele told you himself when he was on the streets with me, they knew who I was. So
what about like haters within your own family? Like, what about your close-knit family? Did you ever receive like flack from them based on like what you did for a living? Or were they like supportive and just really like close their eyes to it? How did you like navigate that?
I lost my parents when I was young. I really didn't have family.
Oh, wow.
So nobody really, like distant cousins or uncle. No, I didn't have any of that. But I had friends that were in the legitimate world, and I had friends that were in the streets, and they hated each other. I used to try to bring them together at parties and softball teams, but one side would always want me to choose the other side. My legitimate friends didn't want me to choose them. They just wanted me to go to work, legitimate, get away from them. But then the street guys and my crew would always say, you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't know what's wrong with you. You got to make a decision. You can't do that. It's either you're with us over here, or you're going to go to work every day. What do you want to do? And then it came down to, well, then you can't sell drugs, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And my business was drugs. That's what I did. So, yeah, the hate, and I can't even begin to tell you about how many times and how many conversations I had with different people, from legitimate kids I grew up with to kids in the life that I grew up with. And it was just so much backlash and back and forth, and who's going to, I always felt like I was in the middle. Yeah. Because I always tried to bring them together. I wanted them to see like my working friends were good guys. Well, they were tough guys. All my working friends that I grew up with, legitimate Irish kids, Italian kids, tough kids. But they just went legit. When we were kids, we got into trouble, but they just didn't join organized crime, didn't get involved in bigger things. You know what I mean? They just went to work, got married, had kids, and they wanted that for me. They really did. I had a lot of guidance with that, and I chose the other way. But yeah, I mean, holy shit. I got a lot of that from, guys I grew up with, guys I was close with, guys I knew for a long time. And I got a lot when I got pinched in the feds. And I did a state bid, but when I got pinched in the feds, I got a lot of letters. I got a lot of messages. You fucked up now. See? Hanging with those guys. Look where it got you. I got a lot of that.
That must have been really tough, just thinking about that, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to do what's best for you. And then in the eyes, it's, people on the outside thinking that this isn't the best thing for you. And then you're trying to navigate that. What about, did you ever end up getting married or having a girlfriend or kids or anything like that? Like, how does all that play into this as well?
I did. I just don't talk about my personal family on shows. But yeah, I got married, had kids, and that's what I'm talking about. Parties, wedding, engagement parties, christenings, kids. I try to bring them together at those. And it did. They got along. I had softball teams. I had football teams. I mixed them together, and everybody got along for a while. But pulled off to the side, I would get that. Like, say at my engagement party, my legit friends would be at the bar, and they'd be like, look, you invited that guy too? How many FBI agents outside taking pictures? Like, I'd hear that. And then it's going, wow, you're still hanging around those guys, huh? What do you want, to get a job with them? What do you want, a 9 to 5? And I'd hear that at the party. So I was getting it every time, every day. What was good was if we were in a club or we were in a place like that, they wouldn't talk like that because the places were bugged. So I used to like being in there playing cards because we'd get our balls broken about something else. But yeah, no, I put up with a lot of that. And I look at those guys, like a lot of people, when, they make these shows, those guys are scumbags. I don't think that. A lot of my friends were older than me, most of them were, and mentors and, taught me a lot and showed me a lot and always gave me, even guys in the life were like, listen, I was offered the opportunity to walk away a ton of times. That, in for life bullshit that's in the movies. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard. And a lot of my legitimate friends were older because they were my mentors. Those are the guys I grew up with in the streets that I wanted to hang around because they were legitimate tough guys when I was a kid. And then the kids that I was in the life with were my age. So it was always hard. It was always hard. And I had so much, and to this day, I'm not friends with them anymore. I don't hang out with them. They got they got kids, grandkids, their own issues. And I'm thankful for that life I had. I mean, see the way the world works today, even the legitimate world. It's like, people, talk about the mob and I could have been a CEO. I could have been this. You are what you are. And that's it. Those guys that lived that life, I'm glad I grew up in the life that I could be in a better position at this age, but I wouldn't want to have grown up like them or in that world. Imagine going to 4 years of college, becoming a finance guy, and you're going to work in an office selling whatever they're offering, and you got some guy above you cursing at you. That just goes on in the legitimate world. I mean, you work in offices. I mean, you and your brother own your own company, but in the legitimate world, you got these guys on top that abuse. And I'm like, this guy's got a college education, came from a good family, does this, does that, and comes to work every day and gets abused if he doesn't hit this, if he doesn't hit that. And I've seen that. I've seen that in real estate, finance, marketing, you name it. I watch these guys get abused, and I'm like, holy shit.
And you know what the difference is?
Crazy.
Just to jump in on that, we can't punch them in the face. So unfortunately,
I was just going to say that because I actually got into a fight with a CEO, like an argument, a disagreement. Yeah. And when I left, I heard him say, what's he going to do? I'll call the cops. Like their first thing, because they know who I am, instead of having a problem with me, thinking the first thing they're like, if I do something or their first response, and I never want to talk to that person again. Anybody that says that to me. And it's like, yeah, I'll call the cop. You're a tough guy. You're acting like this. You're acting like this. You're talking like that. So I come back and be a tough guy with you, and your response is, I'll call the cops. I pay my taxes. They got to protect me. Like, yeah. I'd rather grow up in the world that I grew, because I've heard that I was going to bring that. I heard that myself. I pay taxes. They got to protect me. I'll call the cops. What are you going to do? This is a CEO. You want a guy like that running your company? He's a jerk off. But that's the legit, they're all bad. Guys at that level got God complexes, think they're tough guys until somebody comes in and puts them in their place. But me, no, listen, I'm not going for some jerk off like that. That doesn't give me any credibility hitting him. But automatically you think that's what I want to do because we have a disagreement. And your first response is, I'll call the cops. What is he gonna do? You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that's because you can't, in the legitimate world, you can't punch them in the face. On the street, punch a guy in the face, he calls the cops and gets you arrested, his reputation is ruined. He can never come back to his own neighborhood. But in the legitimate world, you can't do that. But their first response is, I'm going to act like a tough guy and do nothing about it. That's what's crazy about the legitimate world.
Yeah.
Instead of just being a nice, humble, treat people kindness will go a long way in the streets and in the legitimate world. And they just don't, guys that they put in that position just don't have that. They're just not kind. And like, oh, God, so I could be taken advantage. And they always got excuses. Wherever they are. These legitimate guys of these companies all got excuses. They talk like that. And it's crazy because I thought they talked respectfully. They didn't curse. No. They all talk, and everybody in that position, you could see. Look at politics, right? You see guys that are CEO, they talk like that. Now people are seeing that because of social media. They all do. And they can't back it up. None of them are tough guys. They can go to the gym 6 hours a day. Their heart pumps fruit punch. They ain't got it in them. But yeah, no, I had an experience like that with a CEO. And I didn't make any threats. I wasn't going to hit him. He was a twat. Excuse my language, Mary. But yeah, so, and his response was, I'll call the cops. What's he going to do? I pay my taxes. He probably doesn't even. He probably cheats on his taxes too. Because they all do.
I like what you said about the God complex, because we've been in those scenarios too, and in those rooms where it's like sometimes you got to shut up and just take it almost. But at the same time, it's like you don't have to be an aggressive person, and not aggressive, but rude and condescending because you have a certain position at a company. Because at the end of the day, if push came to shove and, maybe you wanted to fight this guy, you could take him. So I always look at it as like, hey, if you have a problem with somebody, guys, like we can throw down and then shake hands at the end of it.
No, they want to call the cops if you do that. That's the whole point.
Right. So it's like, but why talk like that when you could, like, it's just business. They say it's just business, but there's a way to conduct business the right way and the wrong way. That's my opinion. So I would never want to make somebody feel bad, especially if I know that I'm in a power position. I'm not going to try to make them feel bad to get what I want. I'm just going to negotiate as best as I can without doing that. But unfortunately,
that's why you're an owner and you're not working for a company. The people that they put in those positions are God complex people. They do act like that. And most of the time they're wrong because it's their team that's strong. That's always right. And then when they're wrong, it's because it doesn't matter if it's wrong or right. It's my way.
Right.
That's their excuse for everything. This is why I'm in this position, because it's my way, not right or wrong. It's my way. And I met you and your brother. You're very smart. We spoke about real estate. We spoke a lot of things. So for you, with your education and your smarts and the businesses that you opened, what you told me what you did with your first house, man, we talked a lot. Yeah. And I know, I've seen it. So now for you to be in that position with somebody else that wants to play that role, and it's like, buddy, we all got degrees. We all got titles. We all got, how are you? But that's exactly my point. Now I'm sitting in that and I got to take it because I don't have the degrees. I don't have the experience, but I know what I know. I'm not an idiot. But your response is you'll call the cops. I'm not looking to fight with you, but that's your cushion. That makes you feel good. You know what I mean? And you can understand what I mean now because you've been in them meetings.
Oh yeah. No, it's not fun to be in those meetings, obviously. But at the same time, I get where some people come from, like, oh, it's just business. But if you're going to start being rude and condescending, do I even want to do business with you? Right? So it's a catch-22. You got to be careful with how you navigate it. It's like what we saw with Trump and Zelensky, not to go back to that, but those are the types of meetings that happen behind closed doors every single day. But for us, we were privy to it. We saw it. We witnessed it. But at the same time, people are going to take it and twist it and say whatever they want about it. But sometimes, people could just say it's just business. It's just business. We don't mean.
Well, that's why I'm glad something like that was recorded.
Yeah.
Because that meeting would have happened behind closed doors, meaning that, because listen, in 5 years, I've seen all of that. I've been in big meetings like that, and I've seen that, and I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. I'm glad I come from where I come from, because there was no way I could survive that. But now, something as big as that meeting for Zelensky coming to the White House right after Trump was elected, after he tried to help Harris get elected, and they couldn't. Now he comes, hat in hand, and he didn't have hat in hand. Came into the White House dressed like a bum, trying to double talk, over talk, like he didn't understand. He understood, and they showed the world it. If that would have happened behind closed doors, Trump chased Zelensky out just because the way he was dressed. Trump has no idea about business. Like, they would have just turned it any way they wanted.
Right.
But they put it on Front Street. But now the world can see those meetings happen every day. I've been, for 5 years, I can't tell you what I've witnessed and seen in the legitimate world, how people act and condescend. Oh, my God. I think that's part of a secret resume. When you go in, you got like a second resume, and you're going in for a CEO or CFO, you got to tell them, yeah, I'm very condescending, and they hire you. Because every one of them are condescending.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit. So when we think of the mobsters, the big names, John Gotti, Sammy the Bull, and many others throughout history, Carlo Gambino, Paul Castellano, there's all these different names. And if you were to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being, the guy, you put John Gotti up there. Maybe you put Paul Castellano, Carlo Gambino, all these different people, right? So for those people watching that have mixed feelings about you, if you were just 100% being totally honest, brutally honest, 1 to 10, mob life, where was Anthony Russo on that scale?
Well, I wouldn't, because I don't consider myself a mobster. I was never straightened out. I consider myself a street guy. To me, John Gotti's at the top. To me, Vincent DeChin's not even on the list.
Interesting.
Because he acted like a bum. He acted like a homeless guy. He didn't act like a gangster. Oh, he tried to keep a low profile. What kind of low profile did he keep? He ended up in the same place they all end up, jail and then dead. So you didn't even get to act and show people the tough guy that you were. But, so those to me, which Anthony Ruggiano Sr., Fat Andy, was on that list. Another guy that was John's co-defendant in the last trial, Tony Lee. Legitimate tough guy, legitimate gangster, stood with John toe-to-toe in that trial with the union beef and that they were going to get a ton of time for. They beat that trial, and then they took John on the last one with Sammy. But there's a ton of guys that I put in but in the years that I was on it and the gangsters that I was around, and how I conducted myself with them. All my friends were made. My close friend was a captain. My mentor was a captain. I put myself at the top of it, knowing the life, being a part of it, sitting down with wise guys, sitting down with bosses, playing cards, breaking bread. I've done that. So I put myself very high up on that. But as a mobster or those types of things, no, I'm not even on the list. But as being in the streets and around gangsters and made guys and captains, I put myself at the top.
Got it. I want to give you...
Which I didn't know, because I guess we haven't spoken, but there must be a lot of stuff out there that I'm out fraud or something, because this is the first I'm hearing of it. No one's ever told me any of this but you. I'm not hearing any of this stuff.
So go on our New York interview that we did, and I never sent them to you because I read every single comment for those people watching these videos.
But is it... Are they real people in America, not people that don't exist?
Oh, I don't know.
Fake names, the same people that come back and write. Because I've seen stuff like that. But if you get legitimate people that say, I was in the streets with him and he was a nobody, those are the comments you got to look at. You know what I mean? And then you go back at them. But I've never seen that on anybody else. I've seen tons of shit talking, but never against my resume.
Yeah. So it's just a bunch of probably people who don't know what they're talking about, wanting to be haters behind a screen. We find a lot of that on YouTube.
I got to look at these comments.
Go have a look.
Was it the first New York one or the second one?
No. The first time we did it virtual.
We did two of them.
Yeah, the first time we did
one by
virtual.
ourselves, and then we did one with Frankie Steele.
Yeah, look at the ones with Frankie Steele and then with you. Yeah.
I gotta look at that.
Yeah.
As soon as I get time.
Yeah. So
that's got to be funny because
it's funny. I laugh at them. I laugh at them all the time. But it's just funny. Even with Sammy gets flack. Everybody gets flack, right? So
yeah,
a lot of
but they get the flock you're talking about is not the flock they get. Fraud. They can't call him a fraud. He was an underboss. You know what I mean?
Believe it or not, some people call Sammy a fraud.
I know what he gets. I know what they call him on because a lot of the stuff they don't believe.
Right.
But I get that.
Right.
I get that part. But they can't call him. He was the underboss of the Gambino family. You know what I mean? Can't take that away from him. That's why I don't take nothing away from the guys that were made. but don't try to make your position bigger than it was.
Yeah.
You were an errand boy. You gave messages. You didn't do anything. You never did anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what, Carson, I'm going to fire off some names to Anthony. I wanted to get his opinion on a few guys. While we're doing that, you want to pull up that old interview, find some comments that he can reply to? Yeah. So Carson's going to get on that. Maybe you could reply to some of these guys right here, right now. But let me drop a name for you that he's kind of taken the mob world podcasting thing by storm, and he's been doing really well from what we can see. I can't get him on the podcast because he wants $10,000 USD for some reason. Not going to do that. But Joey Merlino, any thoughts on him? Did you?
That guy's a boss. He wanted $10,000 to come on your show.
Yeah.
He's doing that bad. I don't know, Joe. When I was in the streets was when Joey was in the streets in Philly. So we didn't know him. We didn't have any interactions. He had a reputation for being a tough guy, and his crew was tough. But that's all I know about him. But I was on the streets when he was on the streets, and he was, and I'm pretty sure. Listen, I'm not saying what the guy is today. I don't know, and I know a lot of people in the life don't like him. I don't know him, but he was in Marion too. He did 10 years in the feds. I know he was in Marion, and he might have been in Marion when John Sr. was there, if I'm not mistaken, or they must have just missed each other. But he was in the streets, and I remember when my good friend Al became a captain. Joey was the boss of Philly at the time, and they would get messages because they were backing Jersey and Philly when Al became a captain. So I knew they weren't as powerful as they were because they were asking for help from New York. They were shifting money to the Gambinos in New York. But I knew during his reign, that's what he was known as. I don't know him as that. I don't know him personally. But I do know they were sending money from Philly and Jersey. I don't know if it was coming from him, but whoever was controlling Philly and Jersey at the time was sending money to the Gambinos in New York.
So then what's your take on when when he's taking shots at pretty much everyone and just saying, oh, but they all snitched.
I never seen his podcast.
So one of his biggest things is that he says that, all these other guys, they snitched and he didn't snitch. And then a lot of those guys like Gene will come back and say, oh, but you're snitching right now on YouTube by talking about all this stuff.
Yeah, when I was on the streets, it was called dry snitching.
Dry snitching?
If you were in the life and you talked about it with somebody else, that's a dry snitch. That means that you didn't go on paper, or you didn't have a 302, or you didn't go into the courtroom and record it. But if I tell you about what I did or what somebody else did, that's me dry snitching. I should never be talking about past crimes or other, and I definitely should be talking about other people's crimes. So we used to call that dry snitching. So I don't know if that's what he's doing. I've never seen his podcast. I don't know anything about it. But if you're talking about things that happened and you're talking about other people, you don't have to go into the courtroom to be a snitch. That's snitching to the public.
Carson, we have some comments.
I do. The first one here. I love how hard Hootie tries to act. Meanwhile, he was never a made member, and he switched on his own brother-in-law over selling some pills.
Yeah, but you never claimed to be a made member.
No. And my pill case, I was the only co-defendant.
So again, these are people that don't know what they're talking about.
That's what I mean. So that's people that don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm not even married, so I don't know where that even comes from.
True.
I wasn't even married at the time when I got pinched.
You got another one for him? By the way, I did.
That's what I'm saying. So that's people that have no idea what they're talking about.
But by the way, what we're doing right now, I did in person with Sammy sitting right next to him.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was.
I gotta go. That's what I'm saying. I'm always doing something or on the move. I got no time for these.
Sammy gave that look to Danny, where it's like, did this guy just read these comments to my face? I was a little worried, but no.
Oh, you didn't drop that episode yet, right?
That one I dropped. Have a look.
Oh, that one you dropped. Oh,
Yeah.
Was that when you went to Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me about that trip. All right.
Yeah. You got another one for Anthony, just for laughs?
Yeah, this one a little more positive.
Okay.
Hootie is entertaining as F. Frankie is great also. You guys did a great interview, and thank you.
All right. We ended off on a
That's
positive
good to
note.
see. All right. But you see, like people will take a narrative and, all right, this guy got pinched for pills. Yeah, that wasn't part of my Fed case. That was a case I did in the state back in '05. And I went up north for that for 2 years. But it was only me.
Yeah.
So when they say that over some pills, what are they like? That's just somebody saying, all right, they went on Google, they found out I did time for pills, and then they went somewhere else and probably I have no idea where they got.
Yeah.
Listen, if anything like that was true, it's the feds. If there's 302s, somebody should come up with them already.
Right.
I've been home since 2015. I've been on the internet since 2020. I'm not saying, but I say what I'm doing is wrong. When I came out and talked about the life and what I did when I jumped off the global plea, that's 100% you're not supposed to do that. But I'm not a May guy. You don't know what I did. You have no idea what I did because I never talked about it. So to me, I'm no good. To people I talk to knows I'm no good. But they don't know what I'm no good for. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when they say these things, it's just people throwing bullshit out there.
One last name, and I know we have to let you go. And then Marianne, if you have any last thoughts. John Gotti Jr. He's been going out there. He's been talking. He's been on a podcast.
Well, I heard that he finally admitted it, right? In the Pat Bev that he 302'd, but nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
When I was on the streets, my mentor, Ronnie and John didn't get along. So when he was the boss, I seen him every day. You know what I mean? And they were ruthless to the kids in my neighborhood. They were tough guys, but I absolutely adore, and I got nothing. His younger brother Peter, I loved him when he was in the, when we hung out, when we were in the streets. That's when John was boss, but we knew he cooperated. I mean, it's on the thing where his father tells him, if you take this deal, that's not going to be the end of it. They're going to keep coming for you, and this is the last time you're going to see me, because he wanted nothing to do with him if he took the plea deal. So I was around for all of that. You know what I mean? Back in the late 90s. So, but I don't know. Yeah, I should say hello to Junior out of respect. Seen him every day when I was at the club, when he was the boss. But I didn't know him. We didn't hang out. How are you, Junior? Hello, goodbye, all the time. And I was hanging out with his brother Peter, who had a club around the corner from his club. But I didn't know him personally. And his reputation was always John Gotti Jr., not John Gotti Sr., John Gotti Jr. And I ate dinner with lawyers back in those days. They all knew from the beginning that he was chased, he was shelved, and he was a civilian.
Any final thoughts, Marianne? Marianne, you did great.
Yeah, it's 2:00.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, guys, if you guys want to see more of Marianne getting comfortable with, in these interviews, comment below. Let us know how she's doing.
I thought I was going to hear from Marianne today.
I know, me too. She's just shy. She's just shy, Anthony.
No,
I know.
Honestly, thank you.
Used to interviewing all the ugly mob guys. That's why she finally got a good-looking one.
No. Thank you so much for just spending the time chatting with me and Matthew, and it was great just getting to know you a little bit better and just seeing where you came from and just from this perspective. It's really
Appreciate
interesting.
being on. I always love talking with you guys. Hour goes quick with you guys. I think that last time we did like 3 hours. I didn't even realize it.
I know. You want to leave our audience with any last thoughts that you're working on something or anything like that?
Yeah, listen. Keep the mob tube going. Negative, positive. Just don't character assassinate people. This is great for the community because the truth of the matter is mob tube was like one of the beginnings of these podcasting when it all blew up. And it didn't get as big as the rest of all these other podcasts, the gossip columns and the pizza reviews and everything else that people do now. And it really didn't go anywhere. And then everybody switched to Patreon because they couldn't make money on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. But let's try to keep it alive. This mob stuff is good if you get the right people.
I agree. Anthony, thank you once again. We'll hit pause. We'll upload the interview right now. We'll to
Absolutely.
the cloud.
It's a pleasure.
And guys, like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know how Marianne did. And we'll see you soon.